Dear reader, you don't know me, and it's better if it stays that way. My anonymity is the only thing protecting me right now. What I am about to share might sound insane, but it is the truth that humanity needs to know. I work as an underwater imaging technician for Google Street View. My job was supposed to be simple: capture and map the oceans for the public to explore. But the truth is much darker. A long time ago, before I even took this job, a discovery was made in the ocean depths. A skeleton of a colossal creature that wraps around the world not once, but twice. This creature was nicknamed Jormungandr, after the Norse mythological serpent. For those unfamiliar with legend, Jormungandr, also known as the Midgard serpent, is a giant creature from Norse mythology. According to the legend, Jormungandr was so large that it could encircle the world and bite its own tail. During Ragnarok, the Norse apocalypse, Jormungandr was said to emerge from the ocean depths, bringing chaos and destruction. What most people believe about ocean exploration is a lie. They say only 5% of the ocean has been explored. But this statistic is manipulated to hide the truth about Jormungandr. In reality, much more of the ocean has been mapped and studied. But knowledge of this creature has been deliberately suppressed. The skeleton of Jormungandr is unlike any known creature. Its form resembles that of a Chinese dragon, a serpentine body with elongated, sinuous curves. This adds another layer of mystery as it connects to various cultural depictions of dragons around the world. Theories have emerged about the true nature of Jormungandr. Some scientists believe this creature may have been responsible for the separation of Pangaea, the supercontinent that existed millions of years ago. Others suggest that Jormungandr is the origin of many marine monster myths across cultures around the world. For a long time, one crucial aspect of Jormungandr remained hidden: its skull. The location of the skull was a significant mystery. However, with recent technological advancements, satellites detected what appears to be the creature's skull on the dark side of the moon. While it cannot be definitively proven that this skull belongs to the skeleton that encircles the Earth, its size and proportions match perfectly, making it a plausible conclusion. This information is highly classified. I was forced to sign a non-disclosure agreement with explicit threats of severe consequences if we leaked any information. My job, although is officially recorded as underwater mapping, is actually to manipulate images to hide any trace of Jormungandr. Every photo we capture is meticulously analyzed, and any evidence of the skeleton is digitally removed. Incredibly, this colossal skeleton can even be seen with the naked eye from the International Space Station. The size and scope of Jormungandr's remains are truly beyond comprehension, making the effort to hide it even more sinister. Since I started this job, my conscience has been an unbearable burden. Hiding such a monumental secret goes against everything I believe in. The truth must be known, regardless of the consequences. I am writing this letter as a last act of desperation. I know I could be discovered and punished, but I cannot continue living with this weight. Humanity has the right to know about Jormungandr and what it represents. Please share this information with as many people as possible. If something happens to me, let this letter serve as proof that the giant serpent exists and that powerful forces are trying to hide the truth. The truth must prevail. Sincerely, an anonymous technician. Okay. I've finally gotten an internet connection, so I'm going to keep this short and to the point. Please forgive any mistakes. I'm running on caffeine and nightmares, and the drops of rain hitting the tin roof above me are making me jumpy, ready to bite my fingernails off. I work on an oil tanker. Or maybe I did and don't anymore. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. What matters is that 2 days ago, the oil tanker I was working on hit something and started losing cargo into the ocean off the Peruvian coast. I say cargo because although we were supposed to be carrying heavy crude, what we spilled was not crude. Yes, it was black and viscous, and if you saw footage of it, you'd believe it was oil. But believe me when I swear it was something else entirely. Something unnatural. I have no idea if the spill made the news or not. Probably not. But even if it did, or will, ignore what they say about it. It's a cover-up. It has to be. Because there's no way in hell they'll tell you the truth about what we all saw. I don't even know how to describe it. Think of a spill you're familiar with. One you've seen in pictures. Deepwater Horizon, Amoco Cadiz, Exxon Valdez. Now imagine that black stain on the surface of the water, not just floating there, but bubbling, frothing, and reaching out with inky tentacle arms. attaching themselves to the side of the ship, rocking it as they climb snail-like toward the deck, and all of us sweating as we stand in stunned silence watching. I don't know what my thoughts even were. At first, I didn't believe my eyes. Then I thought, fuck me, it's alive. I didn't hear anyone say a word until one of those arms shot out, grabbed one of the crewmen, squeezed him so hard his innards started oozing out of him, then tossed him into itself, where he sank into blackness. I want to throw up just remembering. That's when someone screamed, and we all started screaming. Some of us ran dumbly towards it and others away, trying to find some place to hide. I saw friends of mine beat those arms with wrenches before the liquid got into an orifice, distending them like balloon men until they fucking popped into human rain. It was bedlam. Then I ran too, and that hideous thing followed me. I saw a guy lop off 3 meters of one of its filthy arms with an axe, and the lopped off bit just continued along, inching forward like a death worm, taking its hideous revenge on him before merging back into the original limb. One of them slithered after me down a corridor, and when I thought I was just far enough ahead to duck into one of 2 passageways, the thing split in 2, stalking both possibilities. Imagine the whole ship like that, pregnant with those oily tendrils leaving their mucus all over the floors, hunting us down. Then the sirens came on. A message blasted across the intercom, telling us to get to the upper deck. Even that was cut short, punctuated by the gargle of death. I was lucky enough to make it, but I don't know how many of us died before they got the escape choppers in. Maybe half. The last time I looked back, there wasn't even a ship anymore. Just a dark mound drifting on the ocean. When they got us back on land, they herded us into a room to give us a debrief. But I saw the mix of lawyers and machine guns, and I wasn't having any of that. So the moment I could, I ran into the jungles, into night. Now here I am, typing this fucking madness into the internet on a dial-up modem somewhere. I'm sure they'll come for me too, but I got the truth online, and there's no one they can kill to erase that. As for it, God help us all. It had been 17 days since the emergency rations had run out, and 6 since the potable water was finished. The small lifeboat had a rainwater still, but it didn't work well. With 3 of them and clear skies, water ran out quickly. Despite knowing it was bad for them, they'd begun supplementing with seawater. Brooks started hallucinating first. He kept saying he saw ships on the horizon. Nevin and Hall checked every time, but saw nothing. Brooks also wouldn't stay under the canopy, convinced he'd missed the ships. So he was suffering the effects of heat stroke and saltburn more than the others. They prayed for rain daily, partly to get relief from the punishing heat, and partly so they could drink. But rain also meant being battered by waves and wind. They drifted a long way from the boat since it went down in the unexpected storm. None of them had any idea where they were now. Not even sure if the distress beacon was working. Starving and dehydrated, their bodies developed sores that refused to heal. Brooks's were really bad. Although the other two had tried to help, there wasn't much they could do. They could see a glimpse of bone through his shin. It smelled terrible, and Brooks spent the days and nights alternating between shivers and sweats. They didn't know if he was still hallucinating, because he could only manage mumbles between groans of pain. During the night, they heard a splash and knew, even before they saw, that Brooks had decided enough was enough. They floated on, not talking about the sharks they'd seen in the distance, where Brooks had slid into the blue. Nevin, through blistered, peeling lips, talked about books. A favorite was The Old Man in the Sea. Hall had read it long ago at school. He said he never liked it. They spent the rest of the time half-conscious, listless from lack of food. Every day they had a dip in the ocean to soothe their skin lesions, holding on to the side. Nevin often found himself jumping at shadows in the deep, never sure if it was actually something or just dark water. Hall was the one hanging off the boat when it happened. Nevin was jolted out of his stupor by the cries. Grabbing the knife, Nevin leaned over, stabbing at the bull shark until it let go, using all his strength to drag a bleeding Hall back in, or what was left of him. The dead shark bobbed in the becalmed water. Nevin had an idea. Days later, after drifting into a shipping lane, Nevin was finally rescued. Near death, he explained to his saviors what had happened to the others and that he'd lashed the dead shark to the boat, living off it until they found him. It was only much later that they told him the truth. What was lashed to the boat wasn't a shark, but it had been eaten. Tiamat lived up to its name. Named after a Mesopotamian sea goddess, the 660-foot-long behemoth submarine, once armed with nuclear torpedoes, was redesigned to explore undersea wonders and carry tourists. Me and my wife had the honor of being among these tourists. For our honeymoon, Paige and I visited Hawaii. There we boarded Tiamat and began our journey, along with 100 other tourists. The first few days were amazing. We saw sharks, whales, shipwrecks, and other marine spectacles. But we were most looking forward to the Mariana Trench. Very few people have visited Earth's deepest known point. Who knew what strange life and geological features we would see? As Tiamat descended, the blue around us grew darker and more eerie, eventually turning pitch black. The submarine's high beam lights turned on, illuminating alien-looking shrimp, fish, and octopuses. The tourists huddled around windows to marvel at the bizarre world. The cabin displays showed the outside temperature and pressure: 34 degrees Fahrenheit and 1,000 times normal sea level pressure. Paige and I were astonished to see life in such hostile conditions. As we stared out the windows, a commotion broke out several rows back. Paige tapped my shoulder and I turned around. A group of people were gathered around the tourist lying on the floor near the lavatory.
Somebody help my dad!
The tourist's 12-year-old daughter shrieked. We inched closer to the scene. The tourist had a laceration, oozing with black liquid on his right shin. As he sweat and trembled, foam blossomed from his mouth. Seconds later, his arms and legs violently contorted. He abruptly stood up, revealing milky white eyes and bulging veins. Growling, he reared his head at his daughter. We watched as he pounced. In the ensuing chaos, more passengers and crew members went insane. People began screaming and crying. However, we were stuck in a metal tube, in an endless black void, 7 miles below the ocean surface. Any kind of help would be many hours away. We wrestled through the crowd, seeing people getting bitten and pummeled. Blood and saliva splattered everywhere. We eventually made it to the emergency escape pod at the submarine's front. However, the latch was jammed. After a tense minute, Paige unjammed it. I looked back and heard a loud cracking sound. One of the windows buckled. A jet of water poured through, becoming more forceful within seconds. I stood there with my mouth agape. "Andrew, we gotta leave now!" Paige yelled at me. We hopped into the pod and started the engine. As we accelerated away, our headlights caught a glimpse of the hull near the busted window, caving inward. After 4 hours, we reached the surface. I gave Paige an endearing hug as a rescue team responding to Tiamat's distress signal found us. Just before the team helped us out of the pod, I noticed what appeared to be a blood-stained switchblade, a CDC worker card, and a biohazard symbol marked glass vial peeking through one of Paige's purse's pockets.